You know, a lot of people know about Elm Grove for the fishing, for flounder, redfish, and trout. A lot of people like to wade it, and some even like to get out, walk the shoreline, and see what they can find. Today, Mr. Maxwell and I are going to, or Mr. Maxwell Loyd, he tells me to call him, is going to talk about what he used to find out there as a child. You were talking about, ask me if I knew where Elm Grove, man, there's some good fishing back in there.
Yes, sir.
But y'all had something else that you used to find back there, and used to be a little different before they dug the intercoastal. Let us know what it was like back there.
My mother and her sister, Aunt Leala, and her two brothers, Cecil and Pat Boyd, before the intercoastal canal was dug, they would go over there on their horses, and this was in the late 20s, early 30s, and they would go to Elm Grove Island, and they had mounds over there of oyster shells and all kinds of they found tools. I'm talking about hand tools like axes and stuff made from rock. They found clay pottery there, and they found arrowheads and spearheads, and they were all over the place there at Elm Grove Island, because that's where the Karankawas and the other Indians were there for hundreds and hundreds of years. And they said, Mama said some of those mounds over there were at least 8 feet tall.
What were they mounds of?
Oyster shells.
Oyster shells?
Oyster shells.
So they'd shuck the shells and eat the oyster and then pile them up, and it was a burial ground or something.
Well, they also used the shells for tools, you know, like a knife or whatever. They could sharpen the things up. But there were plenty of arrowheads and stuff around there, and we didn't have any left to us, my mother and Aunt Leala, but she was talking about how many things they had that was over there. And I know that even just a few years ago, my cousin, Daryl Smith, was talking about going down on the other east side of High Island when there was a real low tide, and he and his wife went out there in that shallow water, maybe 50 yards, 100 yards out in the Gulf, and they found buffalo horns, and they found teeth from either buffalo or whatever, and they found bones from different animals, and these were fossils from years and years past.
Years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and there's still, you know, you can still come across, we get stuff that washes up on the beach, and I know a lot of people will go out to Elm Grove or Seavers Cut and walk along the shoreline, and every once in a while you hear of someone finding an arrowhead. In fact, I think it was about a year ago, someone down around the Highland area had found one because they'd brought it into the tourism center. Let me ask you, growing up down here, did y'all hunt rabbits? Or you were talking about your slingshots you used to have down here. What was it like down here? You could go out and hunt and then come home and cook it, or what was it like as a child down here?
Well, we could kill a rabbit in a minute with a slingshot, and I'm talking about 20 or 30 yards away. And our fun was shooting at the old owls in the lighthouse, because they made such a mess inside the place. We weren't killing them; we were just trying to get them moved to get out of the darn thing. But we were world champions with slingshots.
Tell it, and you know, I can remember having a slingshot when I was growing up, but y'all's were handmade. And tell us about how you carried your pouch, because these kids down here, when he was down here, he was a champion and he knew what he needed when. Tell us about your stock you carried in your apron.
Well, we had a good supply of ammunition.
Rocks.
Daddy would drive us down the road, anywhere we were going, to the beach or wherever, and we'd see a big pile of rocks on the side of the road that the highway department had put out there for repairs, and they were about 3/4 inch rocks. So we'd jump out with 1 or 2 5-gallon buckets, and we'd load those buckets full of rocks, and we had ammunition for a couple of weeks. So, and the way we carried the rocks and everything, we each one had a nail sack, just like a carpenter wears. And in that nail sack, we put rocks, we put strips of rubber off of inner tubes for our slingshots.
But it wasn't the black rubber.
No.
It was
the
good.
You had to use the red rubber. That was the real rubber. The black rubber was too brittle. The red rubber lasted a long time. We could shoot a lot of rocks with that thing. And then we had also cut leather, just like saddle leather, and we used it for the pouch to hold the rock. And we carried our own string. So we had a little knife in there so we can cut the string if we had to. So we did our own repairs and reload. That's, we call it reloading.
Reloading?
Yeah.
Reloading. Well, Loyd, thanks for joining us. We've done 3 or 4 shows now, and I know we're going to do some more. You really need to go to our website and look up the Bolivar Lighthouse and the new foundation that they're doing. we did a video with Amy earlier on it, on the restoration. You know, I always say the Bolivar Lighthouse is an icon of beauty. It's a welcome mat to those coming to Bolivar and a farewell goodbye to those leaving Bolivar. And to be able to keep the lighthouse here is a must. My thought is if we ever lost the lighthouse, it'd be like losing the beach. And so please help us out. We're going to have some more information on how you can help in the coming weeks, but all the information's on our website. Look up the Bolivar Lighthouse or Bolivar Lighthouse Foundation, and you can get some more information on that. Mr. Maxwell, thanks. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Dave.
And until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye.